The evening had settled over the small town, bringing with it a heavy chill that clung to the air. Officer Daniel Hayes was finishing up the last few minutes of his shift. The police station was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that often comes before trouble. He leaned back in his chair, stretching his tired arms, when suddenly the front doors banged open. A little girl rushed inside. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, her hair tangled, and her small hands shook as though she had been running for a long time. The whole room froze at the sight of her. "Please," she cried, her voice breaking between sobs, "please follow me home. You have to come now!" Every officer turned to look at her. Daniel immediately stood, his instincts kicking in. He walked over, crouched down so his eyes were level with hers, and spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's wrong? Tell me what happened." The little girl sniffled hard, trying to catch her breath. Her eyes were wide with panic. "It's my mommy. She won't wake up." "I tried and tried, but she's not opening her eyes. Please, you have to help her before she... Her words trailed off into sobs. She tugged at Daniel's sleeve desperately, her tiny body trembling with fear. Daniel didn't waste a second. He looked back at his colleagues. "Grab the first aid kit. Call in an ambulance on standby. Let's go." 2 other officers rushed to get supplies while Daniel gently took the girl's hand. "Don't worry. We're coming with you. Show us the way." The girl nodded rapidly, leading them outside into the night. Her little legs moved fast, almost tripping as she ran through the dimly lit streets. But she refused to slow down. The officers followed closely, their radios crackling as they kept the ambulance updated on their location. The neighborhood grew quieter and darker the farther they went. Finally, the girl stopped at a small, weathered house on the edge of town. The paint was peeling, and the porch sagged with age. She pushed the door open with a squeak and ran inside. "Mommy, I brought help!" she cried. Daniel stepped in and immediately scanned the room. The house smelled faintly of dust and medicine. On a worn-out sofa lay a woman, pale and motionless. Her chest rose and fell slowly, her breathing shallow. Scattered on the floor, beside her were a half-empty bottle of pills and an overturned glass of water. The girl rushed to her mother's side, clutching her limp hand. "See, I told you I'd find someone. Please wake up." Daniel knelt beside the woman, his training kicking in. He checked her pulse, weak but present. He looked over his shoulder at his partner. "We've got a live one. Call it in now. We need medics here ASAP." The second officer grabbed his radio, relaying details to the ambulance team. Meanwhile, Daniel gently pressed on the woman's shoulder, speaking firmly. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Stay with us. Help is on the way." The woman stirred slightly, a faint groan escaping her lips. But she didn't wake fully. The little girl's eyes filled with fresh tears. She clung to Daniel's arm. "Please don't let her die. She's all I have. I don't have anyone else." Her voice broke Daniel's heart. He had seen car crashes, robberies, and fires, but nothing ever hit him as hard as the desperate plea of a child, begging for her mother's life. He placed a steady hand on the girl's shoulder, forcing a reassuring smile. "She's still breathing, sweetheart. That's a good sign. We're going to help her. You did the bravest thing by coming to us." The sound of sirens grew louder in the distance, and within minutes, paramedics rushed through the door with stretchers and equipment. They quickly began assessing the woman, checking her vitals and preparing her for transport. The girl refused to let go of her mother's hand. One of the medics gently tried to guide her aside, but she clung tighter, her voice trembling. "I'm not leaving her. Please don't take her without me." Daniel bent down to her level again. "Hey, it's okay. You can ride with her in the ambulance. I'll make sure you're both together." Her frightened eyes softened just a little, and she nodded. The medics lifted the woman carefully onto the stretcher. The girl held onto her hand the entire time, whispering softly, "It's okay. Mommy, we're going to the hospital. You'll be okay." As they carried the stretcher outside, Daniel followed close behind, his jaw tight with determination. He opened the ambulance door for the girl, lifting her up so she could sit beside her mother. The paramedics secured everything, and the driver started the engine. The sirens wailed again, echoing through the night. Daniel stood for a moment, watching the ambulance speed away. He felt a heaviness settle in his chest, something about the girl's words. "She's all I have," kept replaying in his mind. This wasn't just another call. This was something deeper, something that would stay with him long after his shift ended. Without hesitation, he climbed into his patrol car and followed the flashing lights toward the hospital. He didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was certain. He wasn't going to let that little girl face it all alone. The hospital was buzzing with activity when the ambulance pulled in. Paramedics rushed the stretcher through the sliding doors, the little girl gripping her mother's hand with all her strength. Officer Daniel Hayes followed close behind, his heart pounding with a mix of duty and concern. Inside the emergency ward, doctors quickly surrounded the woman. They placed her on a bed, attaching monitors and oxygen, their voices calm but urgent. The little girl tried to climb up after her, but a nurse gently held her back. "Sweetheart, let them work. They're helping your mommy," Daniel said softly, kneeling beside her. The girl's lips trembled. "But what if she doesn't wake up?" Daniel took her tiny hand in his. "She's stronger than you think. You've already given her a chance by running for help. That was the bravest thing you could have done." The girl looked at him with tear-filled eyes, whispering, "I didn't want to lose her. She's all I have." Those words struck Daniel again. He had no children of his own, no family waiting for him at home. Somehow the little girl's desperation made him feel responsible, not just as a police officer, but as a human being. Hours passed. The little girl sat curled in a chair, holding a stuffed rabbit she had brought in her backpack. Daniel stayed with her, refusing to leave until the doctors gave news. Finally, the ER door swung open, and a doctor walked out, pulling off his gloves. His expression was serious, but not hopeless. "She's stable now," he said. "Your mother collapsed due to exhaustion, malnutrition, and lack of proper medication. She's been pushing her body past its limits, but with care and rest, she'll recover." The girl gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Tears spilled down her cheeks, this time not from fear but from relief. She turned and hugged Daniel so tightly it surprised him. "Thank you, sir. Thank you for saving my mommy." Daniel smiled, though his throat tightened with emotion. "You saved her, kiddo. You didn't give up." Over the next few days, Daniel visited the hospital regularly. Each time he learned more about their story. The woman's name was Sarah, and life had been cruel to her. She lost her husband in an accident 3 years ago. Since then, she had been raising her daughter Lily alone. To provide for her child, Sarah worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses by day and stocking shelves at night. She skipped meals to make sure Lily ate enough. She ignored her own health so her daughter wouldn't feel the weight of their struggles. The pills found at home were for a chronic condition she hadn't been able to afford to treat properly. Listening to their story broke Daniel's heart. The neighbors who came to check in confirmed it all. They said Sarah often helped others, babysitting their children for free, sharing food when she barely had any herself. She was known as quiet, humble, and selfless. She kept her pain hidden so her little girl wouldn't worry, one neighbor said. But she's been carrying too much for too long. Daniel looked at Lily, who was sitting at her mother's bedside, drawing pictures to make her smile. He realized just how much strength a small child could have. She wasn't just frightened, she was determined to fight for her mother's life. Days turned into weeks. Sarah regained her strength slowly, thanks to the hospital's care and the community that began rallying around her. Donations of food, clothes, and money began pouring in after local news picked up the story of the little girl who ran to the police crying for help. For the first time in years, Sarah didn't feel alone, and neither did Lily. One evening, as Daniel prepared to leave the hospital after his daily visit, Sarah called him back. She was sitting upright in her bed, her cheeks still pale but her eyes brighter. "Officer Hayes," she said softly, "I don't even know how to thank you. You didn't just save me, you saved my daughter from losing her whole world." Daniel shook his head. "Don't thank me. Thank your little girl. She's the hero here. She had the courage to run into that station and demand help. Not every child could do that." Sarah smiled weakly, looking at Lily with pride. "She's stronger than I ever realized." At that moment, Lily ran over and hugged both of them tightly. "We're a team, Mommy. I told you I'd keep you safe." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. Daniel felt a lump in his throat as well. Weeks later, when Sarah was finally discharged, the entire community gathered outside the hospital to welcome her home. Neighbors had fixed up her house, stocked her pantry, and even arranged financial assistance so she could take time to recover. As Sarah stepped out, holding Lily's hand, people clapped and cheered. Lily looked up at her mother with the biggest smile Daniel had ever seen. But the little girl didn't forget the officer who stood by her side. She ran up to Daniel, threw her arms around his waist and whispered, "You're our guardian angel." Daniel crouched down, hugging her back. "No, Lily, you were the angel that night. You saved your mommy's life." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "We'll never forget what you did for us." Daniel gave a small nod. "Just promise me one thing. Take care of each other. That's all that matters." As the sun set behind them, the sight of the mother and daughter walking home, hand in hand, surrounded by love and support, left everyone with tears in their eyes. The story of the little girl who ran to the police crying, "Please follow me home," wasn't just about tragedy. It was about courage, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. And for everyone who heard it, it was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, love can light the way.